Hello there everybody, Billybo10K here, bringing you another BBTT Billy Bay Twitter Theory video for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. A lot of threads have been posted under this hashtag now, but I've still got to go over some of the ones that were posted much earlier in the tag's lifespan, and today we're going to be taking a look at a massive Phoenix Wright thread by the user Asaf Chen at Megalade. But before we get to their thread, I just want to give a shout out to my lovely patrons, to my supporters, and to all of you who are subscribed. You guys are awesome, and I am so thankful for all of you. And of course, I need to give my daily shout out to my Minecraft Ant Farm Survival series, which is currently nearing its end. There are only 5 episodes left, one of which just came out today, and we are almost at the end of a series. Very exciting, definitely worth watching, had only good reviews, would recommend, link in the top right corner. So, today is going to be an unscripted video, if you couldn't tell, because this thread is just too long for me to script, so if I stutter, if I go then you know why, because I am unscripted today. So, let's just get straight into this thread, and let's do this. Yo Billy, hashtag BBTT. While Phoenix doesn't have a huge case for Can Be in Smash, I do believe there are some points worth discussing. Phoenix Wright is a lawyer and the most popular protagonist from the Ace Attorney series. Ace Attorney is a series that's owned by Capcom. Up against him, to smash Hood, Phoenix has a couple of roadblocks. First of all, he is a Capcom character, which means there are plenty of strong competitors for the spot, though I believe a lot of them aren't a threat as much as people think. Those characters being Dante, Amaterasu, Leon, and Monster Hunter. Okay, so starting off, obviously, Phoenix Wright is a character I've rated on Rate Their Chances, and I've talked about Dante before, I've talked about Amy before, I've talked about Leon before, hell, I've even mentioned Monster Hunter in passing. I know all of Capcom's cases. I have studied into Capcom the most. They are the most supported third party of Super Smash Bros. It would make sense for them to get another character if Nintendo wanted to take an easy route and not have to negotiate much. And you know what? I think I had Phoenix Wright as one of the highest Capcom reps. I'm pretty sure I had him as the highest in my Rate Their Chances series. So, worth noting. So let's take a little look-see at Asaf's reasons for why these other characters aren't as much of a roadblock as we think they are. So let's start with Dante. As for Dante, well, I think this article just confirms him. Now, the creator did say that the option exists if Dragon's Dogma sales go well, but even if it does, the DLC roster is already decided, and Dragon's Dogma is a pretty obscure game. Now, the reason they were saying this is basically the Devil May Cry creators basically said we should have a game on Switch before the series gets into Smash, and on top of that, if people want to get Devil May Cry on Switch, then they need to support Dragon's Dogma, and they need to show that they want the games on Switch, which I have my own personal feelings about that whole the whole way they are tackling Devil May Cry potentially coming to Switch. I don't believe that they should wait for the fans to ask for it. They should just do it because they're great games, and putting them on the Switch is not going to hurt them, given the Switch is this amazing console. But yeah, I do admit that Dante, I wouldn't say is the most likely Capcom representative. I would say he's definitely in the top 5. Possibly top 3. But yeah, I do agree that he doesn't have any games on Switch, he doesn't really have much of a connection to the Switch, and I feel like Bayonetta kind of has that sort of niche filled out already, even though Devil May Cry started the hack and slash. Bayonetta kind of is Smash's quote-unquote representative of that genre. Next up, Amy. I love Okami, but the franchise is dead. Unless they want to revive it, Amy is not iconic enough to be in Smash purely as an icon, and not relevant enough to be in Smash as advertising for something. She's probably not Nintendo or Capcom's first choice. I don't disagree that she wouldn't be their first choice, but you do forget that Okami did come to the Nintendo Switch as a port of the original game. The original game is still selling extremely well, and if I remember correctly, there was a sequel game on, I think, the DS, I'd like to say. It's either the DS or the 3DS, I think. So, Okami is getting around. Okami has had ties with Nintendo, and while it's not a first choice, I think Amy is quite an icon in her own right. I mean, you look at Amaterasu and you know it's an Okami character because she has just got this unique and interesting character. She's got a brilliant design. And I feel like this thread's being a little bit biased against her, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, next on, Leon. He is from an iconic franchise that has had ties to Nintendo, and he is an iconic character. The real problem is, would he be really fun to create or play? Ignoring the fact that he shares all of his weapons with Joker, he is also, unlike Joker, just a normal dude. There's nothing particularly fun about playing a normal guy with a simple knife and a handgun. Smash is a zany game about characters and superpowers. Charging extra for a normal man doesn't entice anyone who isn't familiar with the character. His horror game settings limit him. There's a lot wrong with that one, I'm sorry, but Snake, just Snake, kind of proves you wrong. He is a normal guy with guns. Marth is a normal guy with a sword. That's not a good argument. You can't say, oh, Smash is a zany game about characters with superpowers, because the majority of the characters, especially the human ones, don't have superpowers. So, it's not about superpower characters, it's about iconic video game characters coming together to fight. It doesn't matter necessarily what their movesets are, the fact is, the characters themselves sell the game, not the moveset. I do admit, and I did bring this up in my last video on Leon, that I do think that he does share similarities to Joker, and that is why I'm not expecting him as much as maybe Phoenix Wright. But at the same time, calling Leon a boring guy, no. That is just insulting to his character. He is one of the quote-unquote cheesiest and most exciting protagonists from the Resident Evil franchise. He's just great all around. Anyone who's ever played Resident Evil 4, which is considered one of the best games of all time by a majority of video game companies, industries, etc., have only good things to say about Leon, so I can't help but feel like this is extreme bias from someone who has never played Resident Evil 4. That's just an assumption I'm making, but just very doing Leon dirty here. In Leon's favor, I will say that a lot of the Resident Evil games are headed for Switch, but they're all ports of old games. I'd also say Sakurai openly praised the series in the past, the graphics of Resident Evil Revelations, take this as you will. But ports coming to the Switch is good. It doesn't matter if they're old games or new games, ports coming is great for that franchise. And it's also worth noting that Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 2 2019 simply don't have the graphical capabilities to play on the Switch. They are too intensive, so it makes sense that if you can't get the new games on there because it just doesn't work with the console, bring the old games on instead. Resident Evil 4 coming to another Nintendo console, always exciting. And once again, Resident Evil 4 started on the GameCube, so you know, interesting argument. I feel like not the best against Leon. Next is the Monster Hunter. The main reason I think Monster Hunter is out is because of the Rathalos. Doesn't have a character, has a boss. There's already music in the game anyway. We know how Sakurai loves the element of surprise in Smash, and the excitement fans feel about a new franchise when a character is revealed. It always says Smash X something with the third parties, and Monster Hunter kinda lost that flair. It's already in Smash, it's not much of a surprise, and if it gets represented again, it kind of spoils the hype. And besides, Monster Hunter is about monsters and boss fights. The best way to represent it is a boss fight and a monster. Oh wait, Rathalos is both. I do believe this kind of hurts the Monster Hunter's chance. It's just a very out-of-character move for Sakurai. I agree. I actually agree here. If Monster Hunter was going to get in the game, he would have been revealed with Rathalos in like a fight against Rathalos in the boss fight. He wouldn't have been saved for DLC. The fact that Rathalos is in the game, we already have Monster Hunter content in the game, it just doesn't make sense to hold a character for Monster Hunter back to DLC when that stuff is already in the game, so I do agree with your point on Monster Hunter here. I never thought Monster Hunter was viable myself, so let's continue. Kinda made you forget this is about Phoenix, didn't I? Well, another thing he got against him is the lack of a moveset. Personally, characters like Duck Hunt and Wii Fit render the argument mute in my eyes, but let's try to solve this anyway. Okay, first things first, moveset is still an issue. Sakurai has brought up in the past that some characters simply just don't have enough variety to their moveset, and that's why they don't get added. Look at Heihachi, for example. He was considered, and I believe that moveset was the reason why he didn't get brought in. But yes, Wii Fit Trainer and Duck Hunt, actually, they have some really clever and creative movesets. Wii Fit was never a character that I think would lack a moveset because her whole thing is yoga poses and different sort of styles. And the Duck Hunt, I mean, using the Zapper and using the player, quote-unquote, as that third player to use the Zapper in the moveset is brilliant. And representing an entire genre, great idea for the Duck Hunt makes sense. He's an NES character. It's kind of par for the course at this point. So I believe this argument comes from a lot of people not knowing the character all that well. First and foremost, he got more going for him than just pointing. He also got the Magatama. It's a charm that can bring the truth out of a person, and it can be implemented into his moves. Okay, but I have to wonder, how would that translate into fighting? Bringing the truth out of your opponent doesn't really seem like an aggressive fighting tactic or fighting move. But the main thing Phoenix is packing is a lot of guts. Phoenix is not a dorky pussy as many believe. Good grief, the wording. He took down one of the most powerful men in the country on his second day on the job. He went to multiple murderers one-on-one and told them he's gonna bust him in court. He cheated many famous poker players as a poker player and went 9 years undefeated. He's outsmarted many foes, but most of all, he's surprisingly sturdy. Fell off a bridge, he got tased, hit by a car, smacked on their head, and he survived it all without permanent damage. That's kind of par for the course for a lot of video game protagonists. Look at like Nathan Drake, Lara Croft, literally any video game protagonist. But yes, he has guts. That is his big thing. And obviously, he was in Marvel vs. Capcom. I've mentioned that in the past. It's why I think Phoenix definitely has a chance at a moveset, because they can take inspiration from there. His moveset can be based on all the attorneys in the franchise, or some of the murder weapons he handles in various cases. See, that's where I have to disagree. I don't think using the murder weapons from cases are necessarily the best idea, because it could, in a way, spoil parts of the Phoenix Wright games, and that for me is a bit like my big concern with Phoenix Wright. I wouldn't want him to be added into Smash and then have a whole bunch of references that actually spoils cases and stuff from the games, because the whole point of the Phoenix Wright games is that they're story-based. So I feel like if they're going to add Phoenix into the game, they need to be very careful with him so they don't accidentally spoil stuff. Another thing in Phoenix's favor is that visual novels lack representation, and Ace Attorney is a massive pillar of the genre. I won't deny that. However, I will also point out, and I've pointed this out in other videos for other genres as well, but we do not necessarily need a character to represent a genre. Genres are never really a thing. We don't need reps for a visual novel or for the horror games, because ultimately, Sakurai picks who he wants. So I don't think that is necessarily something they really keep in consideration. On average, Ace Attorney sales around over 500,000. Fate sales are hard to come by, but it gives the impression of around 600k. Steins Gate is around 100k, Danganronpa sales are around 100k, although to be fair, I think V3 sold over 200k during its first half year, I'd like to say. Not 100% though on that one. And to be fair, V3 actually is a bit of an odd case, because when it came out for Japan half a year early. All these numbers were reached using VChart and Wikipedia. I'm not an insider, so it's kind of hard to get these numbers. And while I don't know if Ace is the best-selling visual novel, not including DDLC. What is DDLC? I don't know what that is. But it seems to be one of the highest selling, in the very least, with around 6.7 million Ace Attorney games sold, confirmed by Capcom. I again ask you take these numbers with a grain of salt, but it helps the point that Phoenix is a fantastic rep for visual novels. But that's just bolstering up an argument that doesn't really matter, because you don't need reps for specific genres. Phoenix Wright has always sold well, I will not deny that, and obviously if sales were everything, then fair enough, but Phoenix would still be one of the lowest selling franchises in Smash, as the tweet next says. I believe this can work in Phoenix's advantage though. Due to Phoenix's iconic meme status, he has a combo of unknown and popularity, which makes me believe the licensing costs will be relatively low. I don't think you can guess the licensing costs based on Phoenix being a meme. That makes no sense. That's very much speculation, not, like, fact. Oh, okay, gonna have to put that point aside, I'm sorry. He's pretty popular, yet he's also obscure, so licensing him and the iconic Ace Attorney music will be less problematic. Once again, there's no real proof of that. Besides, almost all the series composers work with Capcom on many Nintendo projects, and one of the main composers for the series even composed for Smash Brawl 4 and Ultimate. Okay, fair enough. I get that. I mean, there are a lot of composers working on Smash 4 and Ultimate, and as I was muttering under my breath, the Golden Sun composer composed for all three games, and we didn't get a Golden Sun rep at all, so, Okay, just very upset there. And the last point is that Sakurai is aware of Ace Attorney, witty, charming writing, arguable its biggest strength. Ace Attorney is well known for its sharp writing, and Sakurai acknowledged that himself in this Famitsu article about the Ace Attorney 7 reveal trailer. Sakurai likes Ace Attorney. Thank you so much for reading this, if anyone ever will. Hope that at least we can have a nice discussion about this. These are mostly my thoughts about why Phoenix is a totally viable option. Really fun to write. And the stage can be the courtroom. Okay. Lastly, obviously, if Sakurai likes a game, that doesn't mean it gets into the Smash. We know this. I feel like Sakurai liking a game is obviously a good thing, but he likes the writing. And I don't know if the writing is necessarily going to matter when Smash is a fighting game. That being said, this thread does have a lot of good points for Phoenix, a lot of points that I actually bring up myself in my Rate Their Chances videos for Phoenix, and I do agree he is probably the Capcom representative with the best chance at getting into the game just based on everything we know so far. That being said, I feel like this thread also makes a lot of speculative points that don't necessarily make sense and makes a few leaps in logic that I don't necessarily agree with. I also think it sells Leon and Amy a little bit short and kind of it seems a bit biased. Definitely seems a bit biased. But overall, this thread was a very interesting read, and I am very curious to see how everyone else feels about it, because there's a lot here, and I don't think I can really make my mind up on this thread on my own. I think I'm gonna need some opinions from you guys, the viewers, so leave your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Check the original tweet down below. Go leave Megalade a follow, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.